The doctrine of the perseverance of the saints, that is, the final salvation of all that truly believe, is here asserted with great plainness. In the first part of the verse, the enemies of the truth are described, and their utter destruction denounced. And then, in the latter part, the righteous are described and their happy state after death declared. And now first, verses 1 to 5, those that glory in sin, glory in their shame. The patience and forbearance of God are abused by sinners to the hardening of their hearts in their wicked ways. But the enemies in vain boast in their mischief, while we have God's mercy to trust in. It will not save us from the guilt of lying, to be able to say, there was some truth in what we said, if we make it appear otherwise than it was. The more there is of craft and contrivance in any wickedness, the more there is of Satan in it. When good men die, they are transplanted from the land of the living on earth to heaven, the garden of the Lord, where they shall take root forever. But when wicked men die, they are rooted out to perish forever. The believer sees that God will destroy those who make not him their strength. These verses contain a description of two sorts of men, the godly and the ungodly. As to the latter first, they pretend to themselves to find a kind of strength in their wickedness. Psalm 36:1, a wicked man boasted in his naughtiness, and in doing iniquity he boasted. But that which they fancy to be strength is really weakness. They are building up their own ruin. He that is of a froward heart, he that is froward in his ways, shall fall by his own acts. They think to shelter themselves under their own schemes and artifices, but they will be destroyed in their own snares. So far is the godly state from being able to do evil, and yet have it pass by unreproved, and go unpunished, that the very appearance of so much as a little dishonesty is enough to trouble their minds. And if they could be prevailed upon to do anything of that nature, it would wound their consciences so deeply that they should have an acorn to endure. How true was this of David! 2 Samuel 24, when he found it was impossible to undo the thing that he had done. He said to the Lord, I have sinned against thee, and I have done wickedly. Create in me a clean heart, O God. As for the godly, they know that God will destroy all that refuse to take him to be their strength. But this does not discourage them, for they see at the same time that God will bring everlasting salvation to all that trust in him. He will be the strength of his people, the salvation of his children, the stronghold of his church, and that forever. Verses 6 to 9. Those wretchedly deceive themselves who think to support themselves in power and wealth without God, the wicked man. Trusted in the abundance of his riches, thinking his wickedness would help him to keep his wealth. Right or wrong, he would get what he could, and keep what he had, and ruin anyone that stood in his way. This he thought would strengthen him. But see what it comes to. Those who by faith and love dwell in the house of God shall be like green olive trees there. And how happy are they who are planted in the courts of God's house. What a delightful refreshing is there for them. Yes, they shall flourish and be very fruitful. We are to observe the progressive discoveries that the psalm makes of the blessed state of the godly. First, they are said to be rooted, which signifies their being established. Then, they are said to be planted in the courts of God, where they shall grow and flourish like green olive trees, bringing forth their fruits in season, whose leaves also shall not wither. Their fruit shall be yet, and their branches shall be strong, and they shall flourish. They shall flourish because they are planted in a good and a fruitful soil. To be planted in the courts of God's house means to be fixed and settled in the ways of godliness and holiness, and to be united to Christ in covenant. And to be like green olive trees denotes prosperity and fruitfulness. Olive trees are very fruitful and tenacious of life, and they are emblems of peace and piety. And so they that live in communion with God, and who are in right circumstances with their fellow creatures, are prosperous and flourishing. They shall be like trees that are planted by the rivers of water, that bring forth their fruits in season, whose leaves also shall not wither. That is, they shall prosper and flourish. They shall have all the comfortable blessings of life, and they shall enjoy the favor and smiles of God, which is the spring of all happiness. And all this shall continue and shall last forever. No other foundation can any one lay than that which is laid, even Jesus Christ, who is our wisdom, our righteousness, our sanctification, and our redemption. It adds much to the beauty of our profession, and to fruitfulness in every grace, to be much in praising God, and we never can want matter for praise. His name alone can be our refuge and strong tower. It is very good for us to wait on that saving name, and to have our hopes in it. There is nothing better to calm and quiet our spirits when disturbed, and to keep us in the way of duty, when tempted to use any crooked courses for our relief, than to hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. None ever followed his guidance, but it ended well. That so it is written. We trust, therefore, beloved, having this Old Testament wherein we see the promises made to the saints and the threatenings denounced against the wicked. Let us, like the good man in the parable, hear these words of life and treasure them up. Amen.